the last tenant of room 307. Hey, before we start, I need you to do something real quick. Turn off the lights. Yes, I'm serious. Make sure you're alone, or at least you think you are. And if you enjoy real horror stories like this, don't forget to like, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe, because what you're about to hear might stay with you tonight. This isn't just a story. It's a warning, and it begins with a room that should have never been opened. It started with a guy named Daniel Harper. Daniel wasn't the type of person who believed in ghosts. He was practical, logical, the kind of guy who laughed at horror movies and always said, "There's always a rational explanation," which is exactly why what happened to him makes this story so disturbing. Daniel had just moved to Chicago for a new job. Nothing fancy, just a night shift IT technician for a mid-sized company. The pay was decent, and more importantly, it was stable. The only problem? Housing. Everything was too expensive until he found it. A small apartment building tucked between two abandoned shops on the quieter side of the city. The listing was strangely cheap, almost suspiciously so. But desperation has a way of making red flags look like opportunities. The building was called Ashford Residence. Old, quiet, and strangely empty. When Daniel arrived, he noticed something immediately. No people. Not in the hallway, not in the lobby, just silence. The kind of silence that feels wrong. The landlord, a thin older man named Mr. Calloway, greeted him at the door. He barely smiled. "Room 307, he said, handing over a key. "Top floor." Daniel asked the obvious question, "Why is it so cheap?" Mr. Calloway paused, just for a second, then replied, "People prefer newer buildings." That was it. No further explanation. Daniel should have walked away right then, but he didn't. Because room 37 was exactly what he needed. At first, everything seemed normal. The room was small but clean. A bed, a desk, a closet, and a window overlooking a dim alleyway. Nothing unusual, nothing obvious. The first night passed without incident. So did the second. But on the third night, Daniel woke up at exactly 3:07 a.m. Not because of a nightmare. Not because of a sound, but because of a feeling. That strange, heavy feeling, like someone was watching you. He sat up in bed, his heart beating faster than it should. The room was dark, but not completely. There was just enough light coming from the street lamp outside to see the outline of the furniture. Everything looked the same, except the closet door. It was slightly open. Daniel frowned. He was sure he had closed it before going to sleep. He told himself it was nothing. Maybe it didn't latch properly. Maybe the building shifted. Maybe he got out of bed and slowly walked toward it. Each step felt heavier than the last, and just as he reached the closet, it creaked, opening just a little more on its own. Daniel froze. Now, most people would have run, but Daniel, he stepped closer because he needed a logical explanation. He grabbed the handle and pulled it open. Inside, nothing, just clothes hanging still. Silent, normal. Daniel exhaled. "See?" he whispered to himself. "Nothing." He closed the door firmly this time and went back to bed. But sleep didn't come easily, and when it finally did, he dreamed. He was standing in the same room, but it wasn't quite right. The walls were darker, the air felt heavier, and the closet door was wide open. From inside the closet, he heard breathing. Slow, uneven, wet. Daniel tried to move, but he couldn't. tried to scream, but no sound came out. The breathing got louder, closer, and then something shifted in the darkness. A shape, tall, too tall, and impossibly thin. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle as it slowly stepped out of the closet. Daniel saw its face, or what was left of it, eyes sunken deep into darkness, a mouth stretched too wide, smiling, waiting, watching, and then it spoke, not with a voice, but directly into his mind. You opened the door. Daniel woke up screaming. Sweat soaked his shirt. His heart felt like it was going to explode. He looked at the closet, closed, exactly as he left it. Just a dream, he muttered. But something didn't feel right, because the room was colder, much colder. And then he heard it, a faint sound from inside the closet. A slow, soft scratch. Daniel stopped breathing. Scratch, 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 and then a whisper. A whisper, so quiet, so close. Let me out. Out. Daniel didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe, because deep down he already knew this wasn't a dream anymore. And room 307 was never empty, because what happens next? This is where the story stops feeling like a nightmare and starts becoming something else, something real. Daniel didn't move, not when the scratching continued, not when the whisper came again. Let me out. It sounded closer this time, too close, like it wasn't just coming from inside the closet anymore, but from right behind the door. Daniel's throat felt dry. His mind was racing, trying to piece together anything that made sense. This isn't real, he whispered. This isn't real. But the scratching didn't stop. It got louder, more desperate, like something inside was running its fingers slowly along the wood. And then a soft knock from inside 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. Daniel's body reacted before his brain could stop it. He stood up slowly, like something was pulling him forward, step by step toward the closet. Every instinct screamed at him to stop, but something stronger, something deeper kept him moving. His hand trembled as he reached for the handle. The whisper came again. Please. This time it sounded different, not threatening, not monstrous. Human, weak, afraid. It's cold. Daniel hesitated. What if someone was actually inside? What if this was some kind of sick prank? Or worse. What if someone had been trapped there? He swallowed hard. I'm opening it, he said quietly. The scratching stopped. Completely. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. It felt like the entire room was holding its breath, waiting. Daniel turned the handle and slowly opened the closet. Otiti. First, nothing, just darkness, thicker than it should have been. The kind of darkness that doesn't just hide things, but feels like it's hiding too much. Hello? Daniel got no answer. No answer. He leaned closer, and that's when he noticed something. The back wall of the closet wasn't there anymore. Instead, there was a space, a narrow opening, pitch black, deeper than the closet should have allowed. Daniel frowned. That wasn't there before. He reached inside, running his hand along the edge. The air coming from inside was freezing, and it smelled like something old, something rotting. Hello, he said again. A pause. Then a voice from deep inside the darkness. Daniel, he? froze. How do you know my name? No answer, just breathing, slow, wet, getting closer. Daniel stumbled back, nearly tripping over himself as something moved inside the opening. Something large, something crawling. It didn't step out. Not yet, but he could hear it. The shifting, the dragging, like bones scraping against wood. And then a hen. De numblas pale tu pal. Tu pal. Long fingers slowly gripping the edge of the closet. Daniel's heart stopped. That wasn't normal. The fingers were too long. The joints bent the wrong way. And the skin looked stretched, like it didn't belong to what was underneath. Another hand appeared, then a shoulder. Then it began to pull itself out, slowly, unnaturally, like it had to remember how to move. Daniel couldn't look away. His body refused to respond as the thing emerged. He saw its face again, the same one from his dream, except now it was real. Duaril. The eyes locked onto his, and the smile widened. You opened it. It sighed, this time with a voice that sounded like multiple people speaking at once, layered, broken, wrong. Daniel finally snapped out of it. He turned and ran out of the room, down the hallway, not even grabbing his phone, not looking back, just running. The hallway lights flickered as he passed, one by one, turning off behind him, like something was following faster than it should. He reached the stairs and nearly fell down them, catching himself at the last second. Help! He shouted, but the building stayed silent, empty, dead. He burst into the lobby. Mr. Calloway was standing there, waiting, like he already knew. You opened it, the old man said quietly. Daniel grabbed him. There's something in my room. What is that? Mr. Calloway didn't look surprised, didn't look scared. He just sighed. You weren't supposed to open it. What do you mean? I wasn't supposed to open it. Daniel yelled. There's something in there. There's always something in there, Calloway replied. Daniel felt his stomach drop. What is it? The old man looked toward the staircase, then back at Daniel. His expression changed. For just a moment, fear. Real fear. It depends, he said. On what? Calloway leaned closer, lowering his voice. On who lets it out. Before Daniel could respond, the lights in the lobby went out. Complete darkness. And then, from the top of the stairs, a sound of slow footsteps. Not walking, dragging, getting closer. Step, drag, step, drag. Daniel's breathing became shallow. What happens if it comes down here? He whispered. Calloway didn't answer right away. When he finally did, his voice was barely audible. It doesn't stop. Another step echoed closer now. And then that same voice from upstairs, soft, smiling. Daniel? Daniel turned toward the stairs, and in the darkness, he saw it standing at the top. Too tall, head bent sideways, watching him, waiting. And then it took another step forward. The story changes. It's no longer just about what's inside room 37. It's about why it's there and what it's been waiting for. Daniel couldn't move. At the top of the stairs, that thing stood perfectly still, watching him. Its head tilted slightly, like it was studying him, learning him. The darkness around it didn't behave like normal shadows. It clung to its body, breathing with it. Daniel, it whispered again. Mr. Calloway grabbed Daniel's arm. "Don't respond," he said sharply. Daniel's voice shook. "What is that thing?" Calloway didn't take his eyes off the staircase. "That's not a what anymore," he said quietly. "That's a who." Another step closer. The sound of something dragging behind it echoed through the hallway above, like it wasn't alone. Daniel felt panic rising in his chest. "What do you mean?" "Who?" he demanded. Calloway finally looked at him. "You really want to know?" Daniel nodded. The old man hesitated, then spoke. "Room 307 isn't just a room." The thing on the stairs moved again, slow, deliberate. "It's a door." Daniel felt his stomach tighten. "A door to what?" Calloway swallowed. "To something that shouldn't exist." Another step. Now halfway down the staircase, Daniel could see more of it. Its body wasn't stable. It shifted, like multiple shapes trying to occupy the same space. Faces flickering beneath the surface of its skin, some screaming, some smiling, some just staring. "How long has that thing been here?" Daniel whispered. Calloway shook his head slowly. "It wasn't always one thing." Daniel blinked. "What?" The old man's voice dropped. "It started with one tenant, silence. Then it always does." The lights flickered again. The thing stopped moving. For a moment, like it was listening. Calloway continued. "Years ago. Before you? Before me? There was a woman who stayed in that room." Daniel's eyes stayed locked on the staircase. What happened to her? Calloway's expression darkened. "She complained about noises." "Of course she did." Scratching, whispering, the same things you heard. Another step closer now. Daniel could hear the breathing clearly. Not just one. Many, layered, unnatural. She told the landlord at the time. Calloway saw. He ignored her. "Typical," Daniel muttered. Calloway didn't react. One night, she opened the closet. Daniel's grip tightened. And Calloway's voice nearly broke. "She didn't leave the room after that." "Apos." Daniel swallowed. "What do you mean?" "She didn't leave." Calloway looked at him. "I mean, no one ever saw her again." The thing on the stairs suddenly jerked its head. A sharp, unnatural movement, like something inside it had snapped. Daniel flinched, but the room wasn't empty. Calloway continued. Another step, now just a few feet from the bottom. The next tenant said the closet was already open when he arrived. Daniel's heart pounded louder, and he saw something inside. The creature's smile widened. "You're saying every person who stayed in that room." Daniel began. Calloway nodded slowly. "Became part of it." Silence. Heavy, suffocating. Daniel felt like the air had been pulled out of his lungs. "That's not possible." "It doesn't care what's possible," Calloway replied. The thing took its final step. Now standing at the bottom of the stairs, just a few meters away, its body twitched, expanding slightly as if making room for something else. "Daniel," it said again. But this time, the voice changed. It wasn't just layered anymore. It was specific, familiar. Daniel's eyes widened. "Help me." He threw that voice. It sounded like him, exactly like him. "What the hell?" he whispered. Calloway tightened his grip on Daniel's arm. "Don't listen to it." But it spoke again. Closer. "No, I'm still inside." Daniel's breathing became uneven. "That's my voice." Calloway's face turned pale. "That means it's already learning you." The creature took a slow step forward, its movements smoother now, more natural, as if it was adapting, evolving. Daniel stepped back. No, no, no. You opened the door. It sighed softly. The faces beneath its skin shifted again. For just a moment, Daniel thought he saw something. A face trying to push through, eyes wide, terrified. Silent scream. Now you stay. Daniel turned to Calloway. Tell me how to stop it. For the first time, Calloway hesitated too long. There's no more easy way. That's not an answer. The creature moved faster this time. One sudden step. Too fast, too close. Daniel stumbled backward. Calloway. The old man finally spoke. There's a way to close the door, he said. Daniel grabbed him. Then, tell me. Calloway's voice shook. But it requires something to take your place. Silence. Daniel stared at him. You're kidding! I wish I was. Another step. Now, just a few feet away. The smell hit Daniel. Rotten, wet, like decay trapped in a sealed space. If you don't replace yourself, Calloway continued, it won't stop following you. Daniel's mind raced. So what? I just die instead. Calloway shook his head. Not dying. The creature's hand twitched. Reaching. Become. Daniel felt his stomach twist. No. The thing lunged slightly, then stopped. Like it was enjoying this. Waiting you, Daniel, it whispered. Calloway leaned closer. There's one other option. Daniel turned quickly. What? The old man hesitated, then sighed. You can trap it again. Hope. Oh, a small, fragile hope. How? Calloway looked toward the stairs, then back at Daniel. You have to go back into the room. Daniel's face drained of color. You're insane. It's the only way. The creature tilted its head again, smiling wider. Come back. Daniel shook his head. No way. No. The lights flickered violently. Then everything went silent. Completely silent. Even the creature stopped moving. For one brief moment, nothing existed. And then, behind Daniel, a whisper right next to his ear. Too late. Daniel's eyes widened because he realized something. The thing in front of him wasn't the only one anymore. Daniel didn't turn around. He couldn't. That whisper right behind his ear wasn't just sound. It was breath. Damp, alive, too late. His entire body locked in place. In front of him, the thing from the stairs still stood there, smiling, waiting. And now Daniel understood something that made his stomach drop. There were two of them. One in front, one behind. Calloway slowly stepped back. For the first time since this started, he looked like he wanted to run. Daniel, he said quietly, don't move. Daniel snapped, his voice barely controlled. There's something breathing on my neck. I know, Calloway whispered. The thing behind Daniel let out a soft, distorted chuckle. Not loud, not aggressive, just amused. He knows. Daniel's hands clenched into fists. His brain was racing. Ding. You said there's a way to trap it again, Daniel said quickly. Tell me now. Calloway nodded, swallowing hard. You have to get back into room 307, he said. Both of them need to be inside when the door is closed. Daniel blinked. What do you mean both of them? Calloway didn't answer immediately, because he didn't need to. Daniel already knew. The one behind me. Daniel whispered, Calloway nodded slowly. And the one in front. Daniel let out a shaky breath. So I just walk between them carefully, Calloway said. If either one touches you, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The creature in front took a slow step forward. The one behind leaned in closer. Daniel could feel its presence shifting, like it was circling him without moving. Daniel, out, both voices said at the same time. One from the front, one from behind. Perfectly synchronized, his own voice, echoing back at him. You belong with us. Daniel shut his eyes for a second, just 1 second. And when he opened them again, he made a decision. I'm going upstairs, he said. Calloway grabbed his arm. You don't have much time. Daniel pulled free. I know. The staircase felt longer than before. Every step upward echoed too loudly behind him. Something followed. Not footsteps. Not exactly. More like movement that didn't need sound in front of him. The other one moved too, always just far enough ahead, leading him, guiding him back to room 307. The hallway on the 3rd floor looked different now, darker, longer, like it had stretched. The walls seemed to breathe. The air felt thick, heavy, wrong. Daniel reached the door, room 307. It was slightly open. Of course, it was. Welcome back, the voice whispered. Daniel pushed the door open, slowly, carefully. The room was exactly as he left it, but it felt full. Full, like something was already waiting inside, watching from everywhere. Get in! Calloway's voice echoed faintly from downstairs. Daniel stepped inside. The floor creaked beneath him. Behind him, the thing entered. He didn't turn to look. He didn't need to. He could feel it in front of him. The other one slipped in too. Now both of them were inside the room, and Daniel stood between them, exactly where he didn't want to be. Now what? Daniel shouted. No answer, just breathing from both sides. Closer, stay. Stay, one whispered. With us. The other finished. Daniel's heart pounded violently. Calloway? From downstairs? The old man's voice finally came. Close the closet. Daniel? Turn. The closet door was already open, wider than before. Inside, that same impossible darkness. Deeper now, hungrier. The opening looked bigger, like it was expanding, waiting. No way. Wait, Daniel whispered. Now? Calloway yelled. The creatures moved faster, closing in. Daniel run. Straight toward the closet. The cold air hit him like a wall. The smell worse now, rotten. Thick, almost solid. He reached for the closet door, and something grabbed his arm. Daniel screamed. The thing behind him. Its grip was tight, unnaturally strong. Don't leave, it whispered. At the same time, the one in front lunged, its face inches from his that twisted smile stretching wider than ever. Stay with us. Daniel struggled, his arm burning from the grip. Let go of me. The faces under its skin shifted rapidly, hundreds of expressions, screaming, crying, begging, and then, for a split second, Daniel saw it. Faith clear, desperate, amen, mouthing something. Hell, Daniel froze. That wasn't the creature. That was someone inside it, trapped, were suffering. Daniel's mind snapped into focus. They're still alive. Hey? Whispered. Calloway's voice echoed again, urgent. desperate. Daniel closed the door. Daniel looked at the closet, then back at the creature. Then he made a choice. A dangerous one? What if? I don't close it. Daniel sighed. The creatures paused. Just for a second. Calloway shouted from below. What are you doing? Daniel's voice shook. What if I pull them out instead? Silence. The creatures twitched, unstable, like the idea itself hurt them. Calloway's response came fast. You can't save them. How do you know? Daniel yelled. Because I tried. Calloway shouted back. Everything stopped. Daniel's breath caught. You? What? The creatures shifted again, violently this time. Calloway's voice dropped. I was in that room years ago. Daniel's eyes widened. And you didn't tell me. I survived, Calloway said. The word felt wrong. I closed the door. Before it fully got me, the creatures screamed. A distorted, overlapping sound, like dozens of voices breaking at once. Liar, Daniel's grip tightened on the closet door. You left them, he said quietly. Calloway didn't respond, because it was true. The creatures lunged, both of them, at the same time. Daniel had no more time, no more choices, just one action. He slammed the closet door. Hard. The sound echoed through the room. The darkness snapped inward like something being sucked back. The creatures screamed, louder, sharper, then silence. Complete silence. Daniel collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. The room felt normal again. Empty, cold, but empty. The closet door stayed shut, still, quiet. Daniel didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even blink. Minutes passed, maybe longer. Then, from inside the closet, a soft sound. Very soft, almost gentle. Daniel, his blood ran cold, because it wasn't the creature anymore. It was his voice. Hey, you made it to the end. Or at least, that's what you think. Before we finish this story, do one last thing for me. Hit like, click subscribe, and comment. I finished it if you're still here. Because after this, you might not want to watch anything alone ever again. Daniel didn't respond to the voice. He couldn't. Because deep down, he already understood that whisper from inside the closet. It wasn't calling him. It was using him. Daniel, the voice was perfect. Too perfect. Too perfect. Every tone. Every breath. Exactly like his own. Daniel slowly stood up. His legs felt weak, unstable, like they didn't fully belong to him anymore. The room looked normal again. Too normal. The bed, the desk, the window, everything exactly where it should be. Except now there was a feeling, a presence, not in the closet, not in the walls, but closer. Daniel raised his hand slowly and placed it against his chest. His heartbeat was there. Fast, uneven, but underneath it, something else. Another rhythm, faint, out of sync, like something inside him was learning how to beat. No, he whispered from inside the closet, a soft bluff. Not loud, not monstrous, just familiar. You didn't close it. Daniel's eyes snapped to the door. It's shut, he said, not for me. The air in the room shifted. Colder, heavier, the light above him flickered once, twice, then steadied. Daniel stumbled backward. What did you do to me? No answer, just breathing. But this time, it wasn't coming from the closet anymore. It was coming from everywhere, including right behind his own teeth. Daniel ran to the mirror near the desk. He didn't want to look, but he had to. Slowly, he raised his head and saw himself. OTT. First, everything looked normal. His face, his eyes, his expression, terrified, confused. Human. Then he blinked. And for just a fraction of a second, his reflection didn't. Daniel froze, every muscle locked. No. The reflection smiled, a slow, unnatural smile, wider than his own, stretching just a little too far. Then it whispered without moving its lips. You opened the door. Daniel stumbled back, hitting the wall. That's not real. The reflection tilted its head, exactly like the thing from before. You let me in. Daniel shook his head violently. No. I closed it. I closed the door. The reflection's smile faded. You closed a door. Silence then. Not the right one. Daniel's breathing became sharp. Panicked. What does that mean? The reflection leaned closer, pressing its hand against the inside of the mirror, and Daniel realized something horrifying. He hadn't moved. It doesn't need the room anymore. It whispered. A crack appeared on the mirror's surface, thin, sharp, spreading slowly. It has you. The lights in the room went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Daniel screamed, but the sound didn't come out because something else was already using his voice. Downstairs. Mr. Calloway stood in the lobby, waiting, listening. He heard the scream, then silence. A long, heavy silence. He closed his eyes. Too late, he whispered. Footsteps echoed from the stairs. Slow, calm. Different. Calloway looked up and saw Daniel walking down, but something wasn't right. His posture too straight, too controlled, his head tilted slightly, just like no. Calloway stepped back. Danielle, the figure stopped at the bottom of the stairs, smiling, that same smile. You said it needed a replacement, Daniel's voice said. Calloway's face went pale, but you were wrong. Boss, then we don't replace. Calloway shook his head. No. Daniel took a step closer. We expand. The lights flickered violently, then stabilized. And for a brief moment, Calloway saw it, not just Daniel, but something beneath him, shifting, moving, growing, more faces, more shapes, more people, all trying to surface, all trapped, all watching. You opened the door, Daniel said again. But now, it wasn't just him speaking. It was dozens, maybe hundreds, layered, perfectly in sync. Calloway turned to run, but stopped, because the front door of the building was already open, and standing outside was someone watching. A person, just a normal person, holding a phone, scrolling, distracted. The thing inside Daniel tilted its head, smiling wider, more. Calloway's voice broke. No, don't. But it was already too late, because The person outside looked up, and their eyes met Daniel's just for a second. That's all it took. Daniel smiled and waved. The screen you're watching right now flickers just once, barely noticeable, and for a split second, something moves behind you. Not fast, not loud, just enough to make you wonder if you actually saw it. The video glitches, the audio distorts, and then a whisper. A whisper so quiet, so close. You watched a pause long enough for your heart to start beating faster. Then you listened. And finally, right next to your ear, you opened it. The screen goes black, but the story doesn't end, because now there's no room 300, no building, no door to close, just you, your room, your screen, token, and something that doesn't need permission anymore. If you're still here, don't turn around, not yet. Just do one thing. Comment, it's here, so I know you're not alone. And if this video reaches you again, somewhere, sometime, just remember, you didn't just hear the story. You became part of it.